I'm so grateful to, first of all, before we get started here, wasn't that an amazing first presentation? The energy in the room was amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Bryant. I want to thank the North American Division for inviting us to be the guest speakers this evening. It's for us a true honor to be here.
This year we are celebrating 30 years of marriage. And we want to talk to you tonight about steady and unsteady times. And we've seen some things in 30 years. We're empty nesters now, which is amazing because we don't have to hide food from our kids anymore. And we are so thankful to be able to share this with you. So I hope that you're not nervous.
I'm going to be honest, I'm a little nervous.
Well, you don't have to be, because if one thing I know about pastors, that they love to hear other people preach.
Okay.
They are never distracted by their technology.
Never distracted.
And they never think they can do better if they were preaching.
So humble. So humble.
Our scripture for tonight is found in Isaiah chapter 35 and verse 3. And it says, strengthen, everybody say strengthen, the feeble hands, steady the knees that give way. Say to those with fearful hearts, be strong, do not fear, your God will come.
Amen.
We want to talk to you tonight about 4 destabilizers in our ministry. And to get that word right, it took me 3 days.
It did.
These are things that will destabilize your ministry. If you want to walk with steady feet, you have to get and understand these 4 things. Number 1, the quickest way to destabilize your ministry is to operate under this following operating system. Grace for the people, but works for you.
Ooh.
Was that good?
That was good.
Grace for the people, but works for you. When I started as a pastor, somebody told me that I should never take a day off because the devil doesn't take a day off. But the devil is not my role model.
Nope. Absolutely not.
Jesus took a day off. So there are 2 operating systems here. We'll make it easier so you can understand. It's Android versus Apple. In this illustration, Android would be the better operating system. And Apple would be the worst one. Any Apple people in the house so we can pray for you? When I pray for Jesus to rebuke that demon. It was interesting, when I became a young pastor, I was very focused on having people understand grace. But I was not operating under a grace system. Because when I was young, they explained salvation to me like this. They said, imagine you have no car and somebody gives you a Lamborghini. You did nothing to deserve it.
A Lambo.
Pretty good so far.
A Lambo.
Lambo.
I would like a Lambo.
Like Migos,
sure.
Lambo. So far, so good. I received a Lamborghini. I did nothing for it. It was free for me. I was excited. I was happy. Salvation is awesome. The gospel is fantastic. But, they said, there's always a but. Now that you got the car, you have to take care of it. Don't get a scratch on it. Because if you dirty it or get in a crash, we're going to come and take the keys from you.
Ooh.
So that's what Jesus does. If you get the car messed up, if you drive it through a pothole and it has some issues, he's going to come and take the car from you. Imagine you having a Lambo. How can you enjoy the Lambo if at every turn, you would park in a different parking lot. If those crazy kids from your church asked you for a ride, you would say, no, I don't think so. You got boogers in my car. Because I don't want Jesus to come and take the keys. That's the operating system that I was working under. It was grace for the people, but works for me. And I understood at one point that if I want to have steady feet, I need to apply the same grace to me and my family that I apply to the church members.
Very true.
It's hard to live where you put all your stock into what you do. You are not a human doing. You are a human being that God created with periods of rest and periods of work. What's the second one?
The second destabilizer that affected our ministry and our family was not understanding that ministry is plural, but our purpose or your purpose is singular. Ministry is plural, but your purpose is singular. Roger and I got married when I was only 20 years old. Yes, I was still in school. I was at Columbia Union College, and I was just trying to figure out like what was my vocational career. Teacher, nursing, I was changing my degree. Didn't really know exactly what my purpose and my vocational my vocation would be. And then here, at the age of 20, I get thrown into the local church where everyone has got a purpose for me, and everyone's trying to tell me exactly what my ministry should be. Now, let me tell you, I love the idea of doing ministry with my husband. To this day, I am very passionate about it. But at this point in time, I had no idea what ministry would look like for me at this point. So I prayed to God to help me find my own passion, my own ministry. And on one Sabbath morning, God answered in the most strange way. I arrived early Sabbath to our brand new church plant. And when I was there, the Sabbath school director came almost running up to me. And she had this face of fear on her. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what's going on? Like, what's the problem? And she says, Kathy, I really need your help. Can you please help me? And I was like, yeah, sure. Like, what can I do to help? And she says, look up there. Look up in the balcony. And I look up in the balcony, and I'm trying to figure out, like, what is the thing that's causing her such fear? And you know what it was? A group of youth. A group of youth are causing her fear. And she said to me, nobody wants to be their Sabbath school teacher. Nobody wants to work with the youth. Just go up there and entertain them and just spend some time with them. Can you just help me out for today? And so I'm going to be honest with you. I myself was a bit scared because I wasn't the best teenager. I was quite the nerd. And no one could actually pay me to go back to repeat my teen years. So the idea of me working with teenagers wasn't a great idea. But I went up there, and that's when it all began. That's when I left that Sabbath morning with a feeling of purpose. My purpose in ministry. And this helped me over the years in several different ways. I'm going to share with you 3 ways. The first way that it helped me is it gave me something to look forward to Sabbath after Sabbath. It wasn't like I'm following Roger, I'm just going to go through the routine, or let's see what everybody wants me to do today. I knew what my purpose was. I had something to look forward to Sabbath after Sabbath. The second way that it helped me is it allowed me to grow in my faith and my personal walk with God. Because I'm going to tell you what, I needed every ounce of help that I could get from God in order to work with those youth. I needed Him. I needed to be close to Him in my walk, because if I wasn't close to Him, I would have nothing to pour into them. And so that helped me so much in my ministry. And it helped me, and I think this is the thing that it helped me the most with. It helped me not to get overwhelmed with so many requests from members on all of the things that I should be doing at the church. Now, of course, I would do, other things here and there. I'd help out maybe with the women or the children every once in a while. But it helped me to not overcommit to a bunch of things because I had a purpose. And they could see that that was my purpose. That was my passion. That was a thing that God had called me to do. So this helped Roger and I greatly in our ministry. And I say ministry again. Remember, ministry is plural, because we each knew and we had found our purpose, which is singular.
The third principle that we want to share with you, and I want you to do something that extroverts are going to really enjoy. I want you to look to the person next to you and tell that person, more is not the goal. Go ahead, right now. More is not the goal. When you think more is the goal, see, the problem with the works operating system that Apple operating system, when that's your operating system, you think that more is the goal. So I want more baptisms than last year, and more money than last year, and better programs than last year, and more kids in the youth department, and more youth, and more visitation, and more, and more, and more, and more, and more. And as Craig Rochelle says, what is extraordinary today is going to be expected tomorrow. You have to know that you cannot outdo yourself forever. There comes a breaking point. So when you're operating under that system, it is never enough, because the moment you finish one program, you're on to the next, because your affirmation is in the applause of the people. And if you live by their applause, you will die by their rejection. That's why it hurts so much when somebody criticizes you. That's why you can't get out of bed on Mondays, because somebody sends you a nasty email. They always come on Monday. I've never received an email on Monday that says, "You've done a great job, Pastor." So what do? In order to understand that more is not the goal, so if more is not the goal, what is the goal? The goal is faithfulness. I want to be faithful. God's called me not to be successful. He's called me to be faithful. So I have to understand a couple of things. Number one, do I as a pastor know grace? Do I know that I am saved by grace through faith plus nothing, period? Do I understand that the universal symbol of Christianity is a cross and not a ladder? Do I know that my salvation is not dependent on my ability to obey, but God's ability to save? Do I know, is it clear to me? Because if it's cloudy, if there's mist in the pulpit, it's cloudy in the pews. Our people come to church every week trying to find a word from God. If you take Jesus out of your sermon, if you can preach the sermon without Jesus, put it in the trash, because it is trash. We come to worship Jesus on the weekend. We worship Jesus during the week. I am a fan of Jesus. More is not the goal.
One other destabilizer that we had in our family was understanding the difference between team building versus a superstar. There was an incident that happened early in our marriage and in our careers that really marked me.
It's going to get rough right now?
It's going to get a little rough. So Roger was just starting out his ministry as a pastor. He went from associate to senior pastor in less than a year. And not only that, he was the senior pastor of a church plant. So it all happened super fast. I had just finished my schooling, and now I am a teacher at a brand new preschool. So we are building this preschool from the ground up. Again, very taxing on our time. And as things often happen when we're not spending time with each other, we got into an argument. And in that argument, we were talking about how, his being busy was affecting our relationship, and how me being absent was affecting our relationship. And then in the middle of the conversation, I remember it super clearly. Now hold on, Roger. I'm going to say something, okay?
Time is over.
It was in the middle of this argument that I remember my husband saying the following statement. He said, "I want to make one thing clear to you, Kathy."
There's nothing good that follows that, right? Nothing good that follows that.
He said, "My job is the most important one in this relationship." Now, these words brought up all sorts of emotions, as you can imagine. Too many that I really cannot even get and start to dive into with you right now. But what it did to me was it drove me to want to make sure that feeling that I had at that moment, that was never going to be a feeling that any of my children would have in our household. This superstar mentality. Now, I just want to let you all know that I'm really grateful to God that though it took a little bit of time through a lot of prayer for my husband and for our relationship, God was able to touch Roger and let him know that yes, he was good, but he wasn't all that good. That there really is only one superstar in our family, and that was Jesus. Now, we started to work together to build a team in our household, a feeling of team. And so, as you know, in a team, everybody works together to support each other. All right? For example, this is how it kind of looked like. When it was Mom's turn to have an event, as I'm an event planner, everybody as a team would help support Mom. They'd help out a little bit more around the house. They'd put in a few hours at the event. When my daughter Vanessa would lead out children's church and worship, the rest of the family would come and support, and so on and so forth. Now, the good thing about this is that everyone had the opportunity to be the key player in their area of giftedness. And the rest of us would support each other, would support that person as a family and as a team. There was no one superstar that stood out above everyone. We were all playing our own roles. And what I loved about this is that by doing that, we were able to truly lift up who the true superstar was, and that was Jesus. And that we were just all humbly being used by him to do what we were doing in our area of giftedness. Now, were we perfect at this? Absolutely not. But we tried our best to create this balance, and God was faithful in helping us over the years.
And thank you, Kathy.
Yes.
I had to realize that my family does not exist to help me with my ministry. My family is my ministry. And as we're standing here 30 years into this marriage, for us the goal shifted. We want to get our primary goal. We want to get to heaven with our kids. After all the accolades and the awards and the online presence and whatever other blessings we are able to have in ministry, I want to thank God that we are saved by grace, through faith, plus nothing, period. And that includes our ministry. Now, let's live like that. Blessings.